Welcome, welcome to Ditch Your Limit with myself, Louise Grogan, with Transform Your Life by Design, and Trish Jones with trishjones.com.
Yes, I'm Trish. Hi.
Hi. So today, folks, we will cover a very, very interesting topic, and a topic that is engaging. It's called leaving our past behind. Is this a myth? Is this a reality? Maybe, maybe not. So this is what we will find out today. And Trish, you have something to add to that?
To be quite honest, I'm going to wait until you get into the meat of it and then I'll ad-lib.
Okay, so I've just written an article about that topic because I've seen a lot of posting on Facebook or different social media, leave your past behind. The past doesn't matter, and all quotes similar to that, and basically I do not agree. So I don't agree with that because I think it's misleading, and it encourages people to brush it underneath the carpet, and the reality actually is quite different. So my experience with that is that to leave our past behind, I think that when we hear that, there's probably something that is said behind that, like maybe fear, probably a system of protection. People will often think or believe that, oh, if we go back in our past, well then, we have to relive all these trauma, the pains, the anger, the resentment, and it's really, really not the case. Another expression or comment that you will hear often is, it's useless to talk about our past. We don't talk about our past.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, actually, it's very subconscious, isn't it, when people say the past is the past. They don't know why they're saying it, apart from the fact that they don't want to talk about it. But when we were talking about this before, you said it's not just the fact that people say it, it's the tone with which they say it. It's almost like, just don't go there. Don't go there. Yeah. So they say it with a tone where it's obvious that it's something that isn't dealt with, right? So it's not, they're not saying leave the past in the past. What they're saying really is, I don't want to talk about this.
Right, exactly. And speaking of the tone, it's a good point, because it's one thing to have a conversation and say, oh, it's behind me now, and to talk actually about this past in a detached way. I know that for myself now I can relate many things to my past, and I think it's pretty funny. So if someone talks to you about something and it brings you back to your past, and then it triggers emotions or anger, resentment, or basically you don't want to talk about it because it stirs feelings that you don't want to address, well, then you know that, yeah, there's something in there that really wants to speak with you. Trish?
No, oh, right, okay. No, I was just waiting for you to cover the element where you talk about where it comes off uninvited, because I think that's an absolute cracker when you don't want to talk about the past, but then you're triggered in some way, in a situation when you would rather not get triggered, right? You don't want that button to be pushed. So
yes, just another little another comment about the tone here. I remember when I was living with my mother, and we were teens, right? And we would relate certain things that had to do with the past, or ask her questions, about her family, or this and then the other thing, and she would say with the tone, it's the tone actually that people will say this thing to you. She would just brush it off. She would say, the past is the past, and just to diffuse the conversation and just get you to speak about something else. But the condensing, the condescending way that she would say that and with a tone of authority, domination. It's as if there's something wrong with you because you are asking something, that is related to the past. So that's how, it makes you feel. And when you hear something like that, don't be uncomfortable, because the issue is not with you. The issue is with the person that actually is saying that to you. Now, yes, uninvited, ugly faces. I'll give an example of it. You at a party, or no, you're at a wedding reception, and you're at the table with a group of people, and you have a conversation with someone, and it gets animated, and this person really reminds you of someone in your past, or there's a situation that is kind of a repeat, and instead of probably staying detached and just step out of the conversation, or diffuse it and just go to the bathroom, right? You will engage, and you will engage with emotion, and finally it's going to turn into a drama. And that is such a good example. And that's when we say it's going to roar its ugly face in places that you would rather not. This is a good example. Another example that I lived personally is with my boss, right? When I was working in offices and was working with attorneys, and of course, you better be sure that there were situations where I would go in the office, and it didn't happen, actually, just a parenthesis, it didn't happen only with him, it happened also with the staff, right? Not the whole staff, but there are certain situations, certain comments that will be said to you, body language, and the way someone will look at you, that will detonate, that will create a reaction, but it's going to be disproportionate. And that is when you see, well, you don't see it, at the moment, but this is when it's very important. This is why it's very important to address these things. Because as we get older, it's not going to get better. Actually, it's going to get worse. Because it's unattended, and trust me that these masks that we wear, this past that is unaddressed, is just going to amplify. The emotions that are hiding behind that will amplify. They're going to knock louder and louder and louder, because they want to be acknowledged, they want to be heard, they have something to say, trust me, they really do. They're not going to call you on the phone, right? It's just they have something that you need to get in touch with and release it.
Yeah, you said about something that they need to get in touch with. This is one of the issues, though, isn't it? That a lot of people don't know what it is that pushes their buttons. And, like I've said before, that, if someone's told that they got to go to anger management, someone would look at that person and say, oh, they're a really bad person, they've got anger issues. And really what is going on is that whatever has happened in the past that they may not know what it's related to, right? It obviously touches a nerve, as it were, when they're put in certain situations, and all they can do is backlash, and they may have backlashed then when it happened, if it's down to one incident or a number of incidences. And so until that's dealt with, until they know why it is that they're getting angry, they just keep getting angry, right? They just keep exploding in certain situations, and then suddenly people look at them, you've got anger issues, you need to go and get anger management. And if the anger management is always going to be about, oh, you've got to control your temper, sit on the therapist chair and, they're there, that's not going to work. The person needs to know, why do I get angry? What people push my buttons? What people break them? Why is it that I'm actually getting angry over these things? And deal with whatever it was. It could have been something that happened when you were 5, right? But you've got to deal with it.
Absolutely. It's very, very good point that you bring here, Trish, about the anger management, because I'm sure they give very good classes and all that, but what happens is the person comes back, and it's not everybody. We're talking here. We are addressing people that have issues in their past. They don't know what to do with it or how to integrate it. So what happens is also when you step out of these classes, you will repress even more the anger or the unresolved issue. You will address, of course, you will address differently what needs to be addressed in your office as far as managing conflict and all that. But you will not sound as someone that is detached. You will hold yourself back, right? The office manager that I had at the law firm was exactly like that. Okay, so she would be very, very good as far as managing personnel and all that, but she was an angry person, very angry person, and they would call her the scorpion, the black scorpion, because she will never lash at you. But I will tell you that when she had an opportunity behind your back or for anything that you would like to ask, to management, trust me, that this is where she would act her anger. And she's not doing it voluntarily. It's a compulsion. It's an impulsion. And that's why it's important to address that. Now, I have two analogies that I can offer here to people on how does it work and how is it formed or how does it go? Okay, let's start with how they are formed. They are formed during our dysfunctional upbringing. They're formed in the streets where we grew up. They're formed with alcoholic parents around us, neglect, anger, resentment, and all this an array of emotions that we have lived in a period of time. So we need to remember that we have lived that for many years. So the body will record that. It's in the body. It's not going to go anywhere. It stays there. So except when we're a teen, when we're in a teenage, there's a mechanism of protection that the body has that will not unleash all these emotions, all this anger, and this resentment. So this is why when we move into our 20s and older, it starts to want to come out. So, and the more it pushes, the more the less control you're going to have over them. So, I have two analogies here that can, help understand that. Think about a puppet. Okay, so think about a puppet with strings, and the puppet would be you or me. The strings are the strings of all our past left behind and all our memories that can trigger us. And basically, this is what is moving us in action. The subconscious, the most recent studies, and there's hard studies behind that basically we are led and at 95%, we are controlled by our subconscious. That would be a good analogy. So imagine a puppet with the strings, and the strings, you're not moving the strings. It's all the baggage, it's all the unaddressed issues. Another example that I find really powerful, and that's a really good one, is the 45 RPM disc. So you take a turntable, and the turntable would be your mind. So imagine that the turntable is your mind. And you put a record, a 45 record on it, and on it are your memories, right? And your disc here, or your record title, is my most upsetting memories. And then you start playing the record, right? And what is playing on that record is memories from the past, except that the needle jumps at a certain place, and it stays there, and it stays there. and it stays there. Or another analogy as well with the same record is that the record plays in its entirety. It goes on, and then at the end of the record, well, the arms lifts and goes back at the beginning. The arm will not stop. It could stop, but I personally had a turntable, and if we were not paying attention, well, then the arm would go back on the record. So basically, this is how it's replaying in your mind. It goes on, and unless you or me, we take this arm out off the record, it's not going to stop. So we have a role to play, and we have to really stop this merry-go-round. There's a lot in the subconscious, yes, but there's a lot on the consciousness. The consciousness will actually let your body know.
I can't think of anything offhand except for, if someone is in this situation, how do they get out? Because with anything, if we learn it right, if these things are learned because of our environment, then we can also unlearn it. So there's got to be a way out. It's not, in other words, it's not set in stone. One of the things that you've said, I know in your story, Louise, is that you just believe that that's the way things were. And when people use these cliches on Facebook, they genuinely believe that's the way things are, and nothing changes it. And so they keep repeating these over and over and over again. But they've learned that from somebody, because somebody else will take the view, you know what? No, my past isn't my past. It's not just, it's not just let it go. I've got to go and deal with it. So there is a difference between the person who recognizes and the person who just accepts the cliche, right?
Right, exactly. Just to come back to this cliche, I would say it again. You do not leave your past behind. First of all, a past never stays behind, okay? I mean, it's not possible. Your past is with you. It's part of you. It's an integration part of you. Yes, it has a lot of qualities, and my past is what made me today. However, it's not only I used my past, I explored my past, and I wanted to understand why I had these impulsions, these reactions. I had temper tantrums. I was very confrontational too. So that had to be, lower down. It doesn't mean that everything that you do or everything that you notice is wrong. Anger is an energy, and it's good, because anger is there to alert you, to alert you of something, and also to defend yourself. The issue is if you're angry all the time, or if you're angry and it's disproportionate, and it just has to be balanced. So how do we balance that? The first step to any change in life, the first step is to acknowledge it and say, yeah, that's true. I get triggered here, and not just a little bit. To give you, if you want a barometer, is you take an event or a situation, whatever it is, and ask yourself this question: was this too much, considering the event? Was this too much of a reaction, or not enough? It's always easier to slow down a horse that is speeding than to have to whip one, right? For it to go faster. So if you're on the other side of the spectrum and it's too magnified, it's disproportionate, you'll know. People will tell you. So that right there, if you have a lot of these in different area, in different emotions that you have, well, right there that there is an issue in it's coming from memories. Okay, anger is part of our makeup, right? And the idea is always to use it at the right place.
Right.
A little bit like Debbie Ford with the shadow was teaching so well, right? She was attending this workshop actually on the shadow, and at some point during the workshop, she was asked on stage, and the facilitator just tell her, said, "You're a bitch, aren't you?" And she just froze. You know, Debbie Ford just froze, and she said, "Well, yeah, yeah, you know, I can be, yeah." And she said, "You're not comfortable with that, aren't you?" And so Debbie Ford said, "Oh no, I just really don't like it. It's just, you know, it's always there in my way." And so she said, "Well, what if I would tell you that it's okay to be a bitch?" And so Debbie Ford said, "Really?" And she was laughing. Well, she said, "Let me give you an example." She said, "You're going to a furniture place, and you know, you buy some furniture, and you buy, you know, for your house. And when it comes, half of it is delivered, right? So, you know, well, there it's causing a little bit of discomfort and, you know, a little upsetness. But anyway, they tell you that you're going to get it in 2 weeks or, you know, in a few days. And then you wait, it doesn't come, and you have to call the management and this and that and the other thing. Well, at this point, yes, it's good to be a bitch. And it's time to use your bitchness. And that is how you integrate it. Is when the first step is not only to acknowledge it, but, you know, to understand that it's part of you, and to go and pull the gem out of it, the gift that it has to offer, because each one of these compulsive behavior has something for you. So that would include anger. There are so many people that are embarrassed because they get angry. Right, I get angry, and the more they want to control it, the less they're going to control it. So it's where do I use it, and stop just feeling shame, feeling embarrassed, feeling that there's something wrong with me because, you know, I get angry. So it's in this way. Of course, if you get angry for nothing, if you're confrontational, that is more than anger, right? Now it's getting at another level. Anger is at a level where you are confrontational, you are argumentative, and you are acting out. So I took a seminar, oh my gosh, maybe 10 years ago, and it was from anger to forgiveness. And this seminar was given by a clinical psychologist. Her name is Catherine McMorrow, and she still teaches it today. And she was herself, you know, a very angry person, but very redeemed, right? And she was explaining that anger is an energy, and there's nothing wrong with it, and it's just about using it not as a weapon, right? Use it for you. It's normal to get angry. If people would not get angry, well, this is where, you know, this is where the issue would start. We all have a journey to walk, right? Once you become aware of this information, this is why, like, on my map, how do we integrate this? How do we start working with that? So acknowledgement is the first step. And then knowledge, the understanding that, yes, something is acting up over here, and is this a remnant of a past, or where does it come from? But I will tell you that the knowledge to understand the past, understand repetitive patterns, understanding outbursts of emotional reaction will already started undoing that. At the cellular level, if you want to read Dr. Joe Dispenza or Bruce Lipton, they really explain that very, very well. Quantum physics says that, that's the theory of the observer, as soon as you see it, as soon as there are lights over it, as soon as you start saying, okay, the past cannot be left behind, and it's time that I start my homework, already there is a change at the cellular level, and you will be curious, you're going to want to learn, you're going to start seeking for seminars, you're going to start seeking for information, just like I did. Nobody held my hand, you know. Nobody even gave me this information. I started seeking it. So I'm not the only one on this planet. There are other people seeking as well, but they cannot find the information. So learning, get educated. It's very important to understand the knowledge as well. You'll know from within that what you're reading is true, and already the change is even goes deeper. Then you start implementing, right? You start just by researching. You can start listing. You're gonna want to know, oh, where did I do that, and when? Where and when, and start making a list to work these things out, and you will feel compelled, or you're gonna feel pulled to do that. Want it or not, you will feel pulled to do that.
Mm.
And then you seek an experience, right? Mm. And without seeking the experience, it's going to come to you. Where you will always have people to trigger you, always. Except that you're going to start realizing that what was triggering you before, you're able to just look at it just like a cloud in the sky that is passing by. That's it. You're just going to see it, but not see it, right? Like while I'm talking to you right now, there are cars driving behind me. There's the TV that is playing here, and my cats are outside. So I know they're there. I see them, but it doesn't bother me.
Mm. Mm.
So that's pretty much, and that's how it works. And the last step is to repeat all this again and again. Always re-acknowledge that. It's going to come back anyway, so you'll have to re-acknowledge it. And, go back to the knowledge, have books to support your learning, and it's a way of life, folks, I tell you right away. This is not just a one-round trip and you're done. Right? This is not that. That's a way of life, and that will bring you so much more. Rewards, wealth, joy, inner peace, great partners, wonderful friends. You'll see there's a big payoff when you do that kind of work. God is a great recycler. I can say that much. God will rehash it. God will take, He will take your beautiful, He will take your ashes or things that bothers you. He will rehash that. He will recycle that. And what's going to come out of it is something very beautiful and powerful. Now, the reason we're here, you and me, Trish, is we are not trying to change anybody. No. This information, and I insist, is not for people who think that they should leave their past behind and it's fine. No, it is not. So I'm sure there's some people here that say, no, well, we leave our past behind. Don't listen to this because you're not going to like it. This is for people who are curious. They want some information. We're giving information. Again, knowledge is the first step. There is someone who will be looking for that kind of information at some point, and they will stumble on our program today. Do you think this would be useful for them? Probably. I'm sure they're going to listen to that, and they're going to it's going to give them some insight, and that is the reason why we're doing what we're doing. So please, I don't want to offend anybody. I respect everybody's opinion. But this is what I believe by experience, and there's so much more to talk about that too. We haven't spoken about the environment, which really is a topic that we will address next week. And I know that Trish here, she will participate more because I'm sure she has a lot of comments and thoughts around that, and I'm very happy to have you with me, Trish. Very grateful. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Would you like to say something?
Yeah, you can go and have a look at trishjones.com, and what I do is very slightly different to Louise, but I integrate the success principles of what the blockages basically that stop people from being successful, but also I'm very much about being transparent in your business, being absolutely you. So, when we're doing Ditch Your Limits, there are going to be elements of both of us, Louise, that we're laying on the ground, that laying on the line, as it were. And some people say, "Oh, wow, you're really brave." But the one thing that I've learned, so long as I'm, not hurting anybody, even when I talk about members of my family, I'm not doing it to hurt them. Well, my nan's dead now, so I can't hurt her. But but I don't do it with bitterness, right? I'm just saying that I just didn't want that kind of anger issue. But it's basically what we're doing, what I do on my site, what you're doing here, is that we are keeping it real. We're being real. We're saying these are real world issues, and it is not time to be laying them, chucking them under the carpet and pretending that these things don't happen.
Okay, I think we're going to close here. Again, my name is Louise Grogan. I'm with Transform Your Life by Design. I just wrote an article on this topic. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, although I don't go very often, but I will start going more often, and as well on Google+. And if you want a 30-minute session with Louise, you are welcome. I'll be happy to talk to you. Trish?
Cool. That's it. That's me done.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you
Ciao,
next time.
everybody. Thank you for listening in.
Thank you for listening. Good.